Sam Shankland is having a depressing tournament at the US Chess Championship. We have already seen the disgusting blunder he made in the Dominguez game, and just a couple of days ago, he made another terrible blunder that ended up even worse for him in the Levon game. So this is Levon Aronian with the white side against Sam Shankland with the black pieces. And here's the thing, and this is the common thread that we see. He plays the opening incredibly well. And this is maybe a testament to how strong his chessable opening courses are. He really knows his theory. So he has the black pieces, and look at what he does in this typical Sicilian dragon. He decides to trade off the knight for the bishop, and then he activates his pieces. He ends up closing up the king side with a5, and then the queen comes in, and the queen ends up coming to b4, and the queen on this side of the board, along with the bishop's potential and the rook on the c-file, black is dominating because the setup with the dragon means that although the bishop looks strong here, there aren't any specific entry points. And so the opening stage has gone phenomenally for Sam Shankland, and he is significantly better, but then he starts to lose it, and he does so gradually in many games. But in this one, it comes with a one-move blunder, much like the Dominguez game. Let's take a look at this. Bishop g5 is played. And here, the engine likes many different moves. They like the move h5, they like the move bishop g7, they like even the pawn sacrifice h6, giving away the pawn, but the idea is that now you gain the tempo to play knight to d7, opening up your bishop, again the rook, the queen, everything is open, the knight is coming in as well to one of these dark squares. Black's position really begins to play itself. So, after this position here, instead of playing one of those three moves that I just stated, instead Sam Shankland plays the move rook to c4, and this seems natural, right? You're bringing and activating your rook, it is pressuring the fourth rank, pressuring the knight, pressuring the pawn, but it overlooks a very specific move here, guys. Knight to f5, boom, this is incredible. You are sacrificing a knight for no apparent reason, right? You're just putting the knight on a square where it can be taken. You're almost messing and playing with your opponent. What the heck is the purpose? Well, first I should say the knight on f5 is a strong piece, right? It always threatens to come to one of these dark squares. It is a menacing and strong piece if it is allowed to stay there. But Sam Shankland was thinking to himself, well, no worries. It's true. If the knight is allowed to stay on f5, that's a strong and menacing piece. But I'm going to take your knight. And now you don't have a knight on f5, you don't even have a knight at all on the king side. And so we're up material as black, we've gotten rid of a knight. What is the issue? Well, here Levon Aronian shows Sam Shankland the reason you couldn't take that knight. And ladies and gentlemen, in fact, taking the knight was the simple blunder. And now white is completely winning after the move bishop h6. Now, the idea becomes clear. By taking the knight, you've opened up the g-file, and therefore, and by extension, you've made this king on g8 infinitely weak, and there is simply no way to defend. Really, think about it, right? I'm not lying to you guys. There is no way to orient your pieces to defend against the massive amounts of threats with queen to g5, queen to g3, the rook could come to g3. For example, if you play knight h5, intending to meet queen g5 with knight g7, well, this looks good, but after bishop takes g7, bishop takes g7, the final piece of the puzzle, rook g3, and mate is unstoppable. So, there, I mean, again, I'm not lying to you guys. There is really no way to stop the mating attack here. Instead of knight h5, Sam Shankland found the best continuation, which is knight takes e4. You are guarding over both the g3 and the g5 squares, so there is no immediate infiltration. But of course, white is simply going to take that knight off the board. Now you're threatening to come in, and therefore black is unable to take back the knight, but instead, black wanted to play bishop to e5, and now the bishop is stopping this queen from coming, and you're also, very importantly, giving an extra square for the king on h8. But guys, even with this mental gymnastics to try to defend, even with these creative solutions, it is simply not enough. And very much because of the next move here by Levon Aronian, another brilliant back-to-back knight takes on d6. This is simply spectacular. You're putting the knight on the square where it is most vulnerable. It can be taken by not one, not two, but three different pieces, and every single piece loses. Let's take a look. If you take with the bishop, that should be clear. Queen to g5 comes, and the king can escape, but the bishop was an important defender, and now simply queen to g7 is checkmate. If you take with the pawn, that is not much better. Queen g5 comes again, and here a really pretty checkmate. Queen to g7, giving away the queen, but then the rook is coming in to the back rank, and mate is also on the horizon. And therefore, after knight to d6, there's no alternative. I mean, you can't take with the queen, but then you're simply losing your queen. That one is pretty simple as well. So what did black do? Sam Shankland played f6 here, trying to give the king a little bit more breathing room, also taking away the g5 square from white's control. Black is trying to do everything they can to stay in the game and not get checkmated. And guess what? They're not getting checkmated. Sam Shankland is achieving that goal. He is not going to lose instantly. But unfortunately, after the knight takes the rook, which is exactly what it was threatening on d6, it takes one of the rooks. The result is that white is up in abundance of material after queen takes c4, for example. f4 is played, and the point of f4 is to cut the coordination of the black pieces. The bishop no longer controls the g3 square, so for example, if the bishop simply retreats away, that will be checkmate very soon. And so after f4, you're not able to move the bishop, you're going to lose another piece, and very much because you're losing the other piece in this final position, white is up a ridiculous 5 points of material. And more than that, the bishop on the dark squares cutting away the king means that mating ideas are always on the horizon. And so finally, Sam Shankland threw in the towel after resisting for a little bit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I thought it was a really fun game and also quite instructive. And it goes to show, again, the miserable tournament, unfortunately, that Sam Shankland is going through, where he is doing everything right in the opening, but then at some point there is either a miscalculation or maybe some fatigue is starting to set in. I'm not entirely sure, but something goes wrong and the game ends up with a bad result for Sam. Hopefully you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here, like the video if you learned something new from it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.